Hello and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's begin with the day's top stories. Issue of violence in Delhi dominates parliament proceedings. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu expresses disapproval as noisy scenes drown out zero hour and question hour for the third day in a row. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi says government ready for discussion on the subject after Holi on the 11th of March in Lok Sabha and the 12th of March in Rajya Sabha. Amid non-stop din, Direct Tax Vivad Se Vishwas Bill 2020 passed in the Lok Sabha. People paying disputed tax amounts by the 31st of March this year to get exemption on interest and fines. They would also save time and expense in settling pending cases. All travellers coming from abroad to be screened for coronavirus. 34 labs set up in the country for investigations. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan reviews situation at high-level meeting. 28 people, including 16 Italians, confirmed to have infection in India so far. Ten public sector banks to be merged into 4 banks. Union Cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Green flags merger plan that will come into effect from 1st of April 2020. Government also approves 100% investment policy of NRIs in Air India and the company's Second Amendment Bill 2019. And President Ramnath Kovind dismisses mercy plea of convict Pawan in the Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case. With this, all 4 convicts have exhausted their legal options for relief from the death sentence. Patiala House Court in New Delhi likely to issue a new death warrant tomorrow. Rajya Sabha could not transact business for the third consecutive day on Wednesday. As proceedings of the upper house began at 11 a.m. in the morning, the opposition members protested and demanded discussion on the issue of Delhi violence. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu urged members to maintain peace. He said the House can take up the discussion on the 11th of this month after Holi. However, the opposition parties rejected the offer to hold a discussion on the issue after the festival. The chairman made fervent appeals to the members to allow the House to function. But as the opposition members did not relent, the chairman had to adjourn the House till Thursday.
I have received some notices on the same issue, 267. I have not admitted, but I have given a serious thought what the members have observed the other day also, and then I will be discussing with the leader of the House and leader of the opposition and others, and will decide the time under which rule this issue has to be taken up, and will take it up on 11th after Holi is over peacefully.
As the opposition parties continued their protest over a discussion on the Delhi violence issue in Rajya Sabha on Wednesday, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu informed that about 16 zero-hour mentions were submitted, including one on coronavirus. But the opposition members stalled that as well. The chairman said children are currently taking the board examinations and we do not want to stress them anymore.
Go through the reports today, the students who are writing examination, there may be peace, but there is a tension in the minds of the students also. They also expressed it openly and also keeping the present situation in mind. And we are seeing and we are not able to maintain peace here. And people coming to this.
And amid the din, the chair adjourned the House until 11 a.m. on Thursday.
You don't want discussion? There are a lot of issues. I have admitted 16 zero-hour mentions, including coronavirus. Other important issues. You don't want to discuss those issues. Please go to your seats. Please go to your seats. So, you have come decided not to allow the House, and you don't want discussion, very clear. So, the House is adjourned to meet at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Talking about proceedings in the lower house, the Direct Tax Vivad Se Vishwas Bill 2020, which was introduced by Finance Minister Nirbhaya Sitharaman in Lok Sabha on the 2nd of March, was passed on Wednesday amid noisy scenes. The bill aims to resolve 4.83 lakh direct tax cases worth 9.32 lakh crore rupees that are currently locked up in various appellate forums. Also, in search and seizure operations where the recovery is up to 5 crore rupees, this scheme can be availed once the bill is passed by Parliament. Under the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme, taxpayers willing to settle disputes shall be allowed a complete waiver of interest and penalty if they pay the entire amount of tax in dispute by the 31st of March 2020. Beyond this date, a 10% additional disputed tax shall have to be paid over and above the tax liability. Further, where arrears related to disputed interest or penalty only, then 25% of disputed penalty or interest shall have to be paid if the payment is made by 31st of March 2020, beyond which the same shall be enhanced to 30%. The Vivad Se Vishwas scheme would remain open till 30th June 2020. A bill which seeks to confer the status of institution of national importance to 5 Indian institutes of information technology was introduced in Lok Sabha on Wednesday. Minister of State for HRD Sanjay Dhotri introduced the bill when the House met at 2 p.m. following 2 adjournments. According to the IIIT's Laws Amendment Bill 2020, the 5 IIITs set up on public-private partnership model in Surat, Bhopal, Bhagalpur, Agartala and Raichur will now be able to use the nomenclature of B.Tech or M.Tech and even PhD degree. Once passed, the law will also enable the institutes to attract enough students required to develop a strong research base in the country in the field of information technology. And proceedings of Lok Sabha were adjourned for the day on Wednesday amid continuous protests by opposition parties over the issue of violence in Delhi. The lower house witnessed repeated adjournments during the day. As soon as the Lok Sabha assembled for the day, opposition members began raising slogans in support of their demand for a discussion on the issue of Delhi violence. Now, seeking to pacify protesting members, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi said the government is ready to have a full discussion on the issue in the House on the 11th of March after Holi. But the opposition members were reluctant to the suggestion and continued with their protests. This forced the adjournment of the House until noon. And when the House reassembled, the scene was no different. And this led to the second adjournment till 2 p.m. and later for the entire day.
After restoring the normalcy, 11 तारीख को लोक सभा में दिल्ली के जो अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट हुआ है, राइट हुआ है, उसके लिए चर्चा के लिए हम तैयार हैं। अभी होली भी आ रहे हैं, ये सब मद्देनजर रखते हुए हमने पूरा चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार है 11th को लोकसभा में। और तब तक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल ऑब्लिगेशन है, हमको बहुत बिल भी पारित करना है और सेंस ऑफ द हाउस है कि राज्यसभा चलना चाहिए, पार्लियामेंट चलना चाहिए। ये तो हाउस सेंस ऑफ द हाउस है। ये हमने 11th को चर्चा पूरा करने के लिए भारत सरकार तैयार है। ये तो हमने अपोजिशन लीडर को भी कहा है, लेकिन इन लोग सदन चलाना नहीं चाहते हैं। अगर वो सदन चर्चा चाहते हैं तो सदन चलाने दो, इतना ही मैं इनको कहता हूं। 11 तारीख को लोकसभा में और 12 तारीख को राज्यसभा में हम चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार है, लेकिन ये चर्चा नहीं चाहते हैं, एक डिसरप्शन चाहते हैं, लोगों का समस्या का चर्चा वो नहीं चाहते हैं। मैं फिर से अपील कर रहा हूं कि आप कृपया सदन चलाने दो, हम चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं।
The Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved amalgamation of 10 public sector banks to create large 4 state-owned lenders with effect from the 1st of April. Briefing media persons, Finance Minister Nirbhaya Sitharaman said Oriental Bank and United Bank of India will be merged into Punjab National Bank. She said amalgamation will enable creation of digitally driven consolidated banks with global heft and business synergies. These will be in addition to the State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, and the Bank of India. Following the consolidation, there will be 7 large public sector banks and 5 smaller ones. There were as many as 27 public sector banks back in 2017.
The announcement which I had made earlier about amalgamation of public sector banks. In 2017, you had 27 banks. Now, there will be 12 banks only. This announcement, which we had made sometime in August 2019, involves amalgamating 10 banks into 4. So, you have an Oriental Bank of Commerce and United Bank of India getting amalgamated into Punjab National Bank. Then you have Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank getting amalgamated into Union Bank of India. You have Syndicate Bank amalgamated into Canara Bank, and also Allahabad Bank amalgamated into Indian Bank.
The government also permitted NRIs to control up to 100% stake in disinvestment-bound Air India. The decision was taken in a meeting of the Union Cabinet chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday.
आपको मालूम है कि एयर इंडिया का स्ट्रैटेजिक सेल होगा तो उसमें जो एनआरआई भारतीय नागरिक है उनको भी खरीद में अवसर मिले, इसके लिए बहुत बड़े निर्णय लिया है। पहले ये था कि पहले जो स्कीम थी उसके में एनआरआई केवल 49% ले सकते थे, अब वो 100% ले सकते हैं।
The Cabinet also approved Companies Second Amendment Act Bill 2019. Briefing reporters about the Cabinet decisions, Union Minister Prakash Javadekar said a proposal allowing listing of Indian companies abroad has also been approved.
मोदी सरकार के 5 साल में एफडीआई का जो काम हुआ है, इतने निर्णय हुए हैं कि दुनिया का एफडीआई में एक सबसे फेवरेट डेस्टिनेशन आज भारत बन गया है। और इसलिए पहले 14 साल में जितना हुआ उसका 75% केवल पिछले 5 साल में हुआ है।
The number of coronavirus cases in India has risen to 28, the government announced on Wednesday. Giving a breakup of the cases in the country, Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan said 1 patient is from Delhi, 6 more, his relatives are from Agra, 1 is from Telangana, and there are 16 Italians as well as their Indian driver currently in Rajasthan. The figure includes 3 earlier cases in Kerala who have now been discharged. As a precautionary measure, the government has announced that all international passengers will be screened at all airports and ports across the country. Earlier, travellers from only 12 countries were being screened.
अभी जो मेरे पास जानकारी है उसके हिसाब से इनका टोटल 28 होता है। इस 28 में मैंने आपको ब्रॉड बताया कि 3 लोग केरल में आए थे, ठीक हो गए। एक दिल्ली में आया, वो ट्रैवल करके आया इटली से, जो जिसने अपने 6 रिश्तेदारों को इन्फेक्ट करा। एक इटालियन ग्रुप जो ट्रैवलिंग के लिए भारत में आया था, उस ग्रुप के जो है 16 इटालियन और उसको जो चला रहा था ड्राइवर एक इंडियन, वो इन्फेक्ट हुआ उस ग्रुप के अंदर जो है। तो दैट इज द एग्जैक्ट नंबर राइट नाउ।
The government has also set up 15 more laboratories and is in the process of establishing 19 additional centers to conduct tests. The government has adopted a cluster approach, as part of which health authorities will check and sensitize every household within a 3-kilometer radius of the house of the infected person. In addition to the 28 positive cases in the country, 17 other Indian nationals have also been infected with coronavirus. 16 from a cruise ship in Japan, and 1 from the UAE. The government also intends to set up a lab in Iran so that Indians there can be tested for possible exposure to the virus before being brought back to India. An estimated 1,200 Indians, mostly students and pilgrims, are currently stranded in Iran.
जितने भी इंटरनेशनल पैसेंजर्स जो भी बाहर की किसी भी जगह से फ़्लाइट से आएंगे, अब हम लोग उनकी सबकी स्क्रीनिंग करेंगे. ये all flights and everybody will be part of the universal screening. That is one decision. हम प्रयास कर रहे हैं कि अगर ईरान की सरकार ने हमारे को सहयोग किया तो ऑलरेडी हमने एक वैज्ञानिक अपने कल भेज दिए हैं. अभी 4 बजे 3 वैज्ञानिक और जा रहे हैं और आज रात को हम लोग एक ईरान में भी लैब को एस्टैब्लिश करने के लिए अपना सारा इक्विपमेंट इत्यादि सारी चीज़ें भेज रहे हैं.
Principal Secretary to Prime Minister P.K. Mishra chaired an inter-ministerial meeting on Wednesday to review the preparedness and response on coronavirus. Earlier in the day, the Health Minister also held a meeting on ways to prevent further spread of COVID-19. The health crisis posed by coronavirus worldwide and new cases being reported in the country was also discussed at a meeting of the Union Cabinet earlier in the day. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Union Home Minister Amit Shah and other top BJP leaders will skip the Holi celebrations in view of the corona outbreak. Announcing his decision to not celebrate Holi this year, Prime Minister Modi tweeted, and I quote, "Experts across the world have advised to reduce mass gatherings to avoid the spread of COVID-19 novel coronavirus. Hence, this year I have decided not to participate in any Holi Milan program," unquote. Home Minister Amit Shah and also BJP President JP Nadda also took to Twitter to announce their decision to not celebrate Holi or hold any Holi gatherings in view of the coronavirus outbreak. He tweeted, and I quote, "Holi is a very important festival for us Indians, but in the wake of coronavirus, I have decided not to participate in any Holi Milan celebration this year." Besides, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has also announced he will not celebrate Holi this year. The coronavirus infections showed signs of receding in China with 38 new fatalities, taking the total number of casualties to 2,981. The number of total confirmed cases now stands at 80,270 so far in China. However, several other countries across the world continue to grapple to contain the fast-spreading deadly virus that has claimed over 3,100 lives globally. Coronavirus has killed 92 people in Iran, with the Islamic Republic reporting 15 new deaths and 586 additional cases. Nearly 3,000 people have been infected with COVID-19 in the country. Iraq also reported its first death on Wednesday due to coronavirus. Italy is also closing all schools and universities from Thursday until mid-March to help curb the spread of the novel coronavirus, which has killed 79 people in the country and infected more than 2,500 so far, the highest number in Europe. The World Health Organization has said about 3.4% of people infected with the virus COVID-19 globally have died, making it more fatal than the common flu. The Union Health Ministry has issued an advisory to avoid spread of COVID-19. And some of the important ones include: wash your hands frequently with soap and water, clean your hands with alcohol-based hand rub, avoid touching your eyes, nose and mouth, always cover your mouth and nose while coughing or even sneezing. Throw away used tissues into closed dustbins. If you have fever, cough, or difficulty in breathing, seek medical help immediately. Also, maintain social distancing, especially if you're traveling in public transport. Don't come in close contact with anyone if you have fever or cough. Don't spit in public. Also, avoid contact with animals. Don't eat raw food, undercooked meat. Don't travel to farms, live animal markets, or where animals are being slaughtered. And last but the most important one, don't panic, maintain personal hygiene, and don't fall for unverified information about the disease, in particular those that are being circulated on social media. With that, time for a short break here on News Tonight, but more news and updates will continue on the other side. Do stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira.
From policy decisions to global economic issues.
What shape is the world economy going to take really?
If the Chinese slowdown occurs, the rest of the world also
Will also
slow
fall.
down.
From landmark judgments to international relations.
Is there any bank who will open an account for a transgender person with transgender identity? Absolutely not.
A debate show like none other.
Maybe I will announce here, and no one before you knows, that Mr. Modi will visit Palestine.
The Big Picture with Frank Rausen Pereira on Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight. President Ramnath Kovind on Wednesday rejected the mercy petition of Pawan Gupta, one of the convicts in the Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case. Pawan Gupta had filed a mercy petition before the president on Monday. The president has already rejected the mercy petitions of the other 3 convicts in the case. The hanging of the 4 death row convicts was previously scheduled for the 3rd of March, which was deferred for the 3rd time by a Delhi court on Monday. Now, the Delhi government moved a city court on Wednesday, seeking a fresh date for execution of the 4 convicts in the case. The Supreme Court on Wednesday allowed a batch of pleas challenging the 2018 circular of the Reserve Bank of India on cryptocurrencies. The RBI had prohibited banks and also financial institutions from providing services with relation to cryptocurrencies, which operate independently of a central bank. These are digital currencies in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of currency units and verify the transfer of funds. The Apex Court bench, headed by Justice R.F. Nariman, has allowed the writ petitions challenging the RBI circular. President Ramnath Kovind conferred the 61st Annual Lalit Kala Academies Awards on 15 artists at the Rashtrapati Bhavan on Wednesday. The awardees include Anup Kumar Manzuki Gopi from Kerala, David Malakar from West Bengal, Hariram Kumbhawat from Rajasthan, Devendra Kumar Khare from Gujarat, Dinesh Pandya from Maharashtra, Mohan Kumar from Karnataka, and Yashwant Singh from Delhi. Their art will be on display at the Lalit Kala Academy Gallery in New Delhi until the 22nd of March. "11 months after the formation of the Lokpal, the government issued a notification providing the rules and prescribed format for filing complaints with the Anti-Corruption Ombudsman. The notification under Section 59 of the Lokpal and Lokayuktas Act lays down the rules called the Lokpal Complaint Rules 2020. According to the complaint forms, Indian as well as foreign nationals can lodge complaints of alleged corruption against public servants, including the Prime Minister, with the Lokpal. The complainants have to submit a valid proof of identity while filing their complaint. The Lokpal shall dispose of a complaint within a period of 30 days. A special program to mark the International Women's Day on the 8th of March was organized on Wednesday in Delhi. The aim of the program was to increase participation in the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Addressing the event, Union Minister Mahendranath Pandey said, Skill Development Ministry will ensure enhanced participation of women in the next phase of Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. The government is also planning to launch the third phase of its flagship PMKVY in the next financial year.
भारत की इस आबादी और उस आबादी में भी 57% से एवं जो युवा आबादी है उसमें हमारी ये बेटियां भी हैं। इन सब को लेकर के एक स्किल फोर्स वर्ल्ड की जो बनाने की कल्पना है, उस कल्पना को वर्ल्ड के लेवल का स्टैंडर्ड मिले, इसके लिए इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ स्किल्स प्रक्रियागत काम शुरू हो गए हैं। चेंबूर मुंबई में, गांधीनगर दसमें गुजरात के अंदर, कानपुर में भी प्रपोज है।
According to the White House, in the first known call between an American president and Taliban, US President Donald Trump spoke to Deputy Taliban leader Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar on Tuesday and discussed progress towards achieving peace in Afghanistan. During the call on Tuesday, Donald Trump emphasized the need to continue the reduction in violence, which made possible the signing of the historic US-Taliban agreement on the 29th of February. Donald Trump also said that they had a very good talk. The call comes just days after the United States signed the peace deal with Taliban in Doha. Earlier, the Taliban carried out dozens of attacks on Afghan army bases hours after ending a partial truce with the Afghan administration and throwing into doubt peace talks between Kabul and the insurgents. The intra-Afghan negotiations are due to begin on the 10th of March, but Afghanistan's president has refused to agree to the prisoner swap clause in the peace deal, which has cast a shadow on the negotiations. In the last 24 hours, the Taliban has conducted 33 attacks in 16 of Afghanistan's 34 provinces. And let's now get you some news about environment and climate change. In a bid to combat plastic pollution, Lachin, a town in Sikkim, has introduced bamboo water bottles as a replacement of plastic water bottles. Lachin is the first town in India to completely get rid of packaged drinking water bottles. Tourists traveling to the city are being requested to leave their water bottles behind or to transfer water from their plastic bottle into a reusable water bottle made of bamboo. Lachin's snow-capped hills, aquamarine lakes, and red pandas attract over 1 lakh tourists every year, but the plastic bottles left behind by the tourists was a huge concern for the locals. Now, this initiative was entirely community-driven, with over 2,500 inhabitants joining forces to lend support for this campaign. In the year 1998, Sikkim became the first state in India to introduce restrictive measures against plastic use. In 2016, Sikkim imposed complete ban on packaged drinking water. And that's it from us in this bulletin. Thank you for your time.
Watch The Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira, at 9:30 p.m.